Not having a job doesn't mean you lazy. Who came up with that? I'm going to share with y'all some reasons to why I believe that. Because think about it. Say if you're working at your job, you've been working for 10 years, and then you've been doing good on your job. Say if you've been working security, you've been working customer service, or you just been relying on the job, right? You've been doing everything right for your company. You seem to get along with your employees, but in reality, they talking behind your back. So, since they talking behind your back, you don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden, you've been working 10, 12 years. Your job fires you. So now, you back at square one. You don't know what to do. And then in reality, it's like, this is all you know. Because think about it, when we was growing up, when we was little youngsters, we had parents to tell us we need to get a job, do something constructive. And just because we doing something constructive, working at a job, we not out here doing anything bad. We just trying to be a good credit to the society. We trying to help each other. We trying to help ourselves. It's like when you work at a job, then you get paid, the check ain't even adding up like how it should. It's like you working from paycheck to paycheck. So now, you just barely making ends meet. So, you've been doing your job all your life. Your job fires you. Now you back at square one. Now you don't have no backup plan. So all you know is to just try to find another job. So, when you're not working a traditional job, people always tend to call you lazy and you just don't got no ambition. So, you telling me just because I'm not working at no traditional job or don't want to work a traditional job forever, that means you're lazy? That's the wrong message to steer to people, because in reality, so if you work in a job and you lose your job and you don't have no other income, don't that make you lazy? Because now you got to start back from square one. And then say if you can't find a job and you just been relying on a job to get hired and you never get hired, the times get rough, bills get high, food just costs expensive, and then you don't got no money to pay for it because you don't have the confidence to even get up and do something for yourself and be an entrepreneur. This is for my entrepreneurs. So, just because you're not working a traditional job, that doesn't make you lazy, because there's other ways to make income. You can invest in stocks. You can do your research, whatever you want to enjoy, and just learn it. And a lot of people just don't want to put that time in to learn it, to do something for themselves. So let's backtrack this statement. So the people that's working overtime, working all them hours, and just working a job, they don't want to do nothing else. They don't want to research and work on themselves and do something for themselves. Don't that make them lazy? Because think about it, because I read this story in the paper. Now, we always be against gambling, but I read this story in the paper where this guy was saying that he hit the lottery for $10 million. Now, I'm not saying go out there, just spend all your money, be a gambler or whatever, but it is what it is. Life is a gamble. If you understand life and understand how money works. This guy, they said he won $10 million off a scratch-off. And you know what he said? And the craziest thing that he said, it's going to blow your mind. He basically said, I really didn't work overtime that day. If I would have worked overtime that day, I would have never won $10 million on this scratch-off. So in reality, it's like he was trying to do something other than work for himself. So, and that's how they get you. Because y'all so caught up on being not lazy and what people think and things like that. You think people gonna call you this, they're gonna call you lazy. This man, they could have called him lazy for just cutting his overtime. He didn't want to do overtime that day. So he went and did what he wanted to do other than a job. Got $10 million off a scratch-off. Now, everybody's not going to win $10 million off a scratch-off, but that man hustle is outstanding. He might do a lot of things outside his job. A lot of people don't. So in reality is that the time that you thinking that you have and you spend all your hours working at this job, and then it's not adding up, just think about it. Because you looking at things wrong. You got to reverse it. And that's another reason why I'm trying to tell y'all that stop thinking you lazy because you want to do something other than working a job. Whatever he did, he still had a job. But he did something other than working a job. And I guarantee you he wasn't going to make no 10 million at his job. He probably been playing for years, but he ain't spent no 10 million. But now he can live his life. He can quit his job now. You see what I'm saying? Because he was able and put the confidence and the ability to do something else in life. So that's what I'm trying to teach to y'all. It ain't about gambling or anything. It's about learning how money works and doing something else with y'all life. Now, y'all don't want to gamble, that's cool. But I'm saying, like, just try to start a business. All that is a gamble, not even if it's spending your money. Once you start to learn how business works, and just let me put a good example of how the man did. He probably been playing them same numbers for years, but he put time into that. And that's where we go wrong at, because we always being afraid of being called bums or lazy because we want to think of something else in life. So when you want to become an entrepreneur, you in your feelings because you was already taught that when you was younger. Your parents was telling you couldn't do it. It was make believe. It was a dream. And then they telling you when you get grown, you got plenty of time. And as time goes on, as you can see in your life, you don't have the time that you think you got. Because once you see stuff is getting expensive, and then you seeing that everything is going up but your pay, you feel like you've been lied to. Because you didn't think this was the same world that you're seeing now that what you've seen in the past. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. And you unprepared because what? You so focused on your job. That's all I be telling y'all. Because I had to figure it out. That's why I'm doing other stuff. This is what keeps me sane. Me doing other stuff. I can't just go to sleep and wake up and just go to work again. As an entrepreneur, if you're a real entrepreneur, you'll feel where I'm coming from. Because you're not doing nothing else. I would feel like I'm lazy just working on a job, not doing nothing else. So stop thinking because you don't have a traditional job, you lazy. Who came up with that? Who came up with that? And the people, that's all they got going is one income. So if they lose their job or they say, okay, people say save your money. Okay, you save your money from one income. You save your money to do what? Ain't you save your money just to spend it at a later date? Money is made to be spent. That's why I keep telling y'all. So when y'all so scared and feared, that makes you lazy because you don't want to do nothing else because you're scared. I understand that. Shit, you grew up around that, but you got to stop listening to people. That's what I'm telling you. So if somebody always talking about this and that negativity, stop listening to that. Because you want motivation around you. And what we go wrong at, we always thinking we lazy because we say things but we don't execute. And a lot of us then. So a lot of us will be called lazy even if we have a job. Because we say a lot of stuff in our other lives when we're not working that we never do. Or we say we want to start this, but we always say, I ain't got time to do this. The job is making you lazy because you don't want to do nothing else. You working overtime and you can't do nothing else. You can't. Then you only working, you may be working 10 hours, 12 hours, then you gonna go to sleep 8. So it's like you don't even got nothing to do with your life. So if you working overtime, your job is what's keeping you lazy. So people who are entrepreneurs, when they figure out how to generate revenue, and it may take them some time. So that's why you may need a job for a minute so it can take you some time. But in reality, once you start to not worry about what people think and live for you, you're going to start to see that thinking like an entrepreneur, that doesn't make you lazy. So I'm tired of people saying that. Just think about it. So if you just working and punching that 9 to 5 and everything was going good, you getting along with your workers you thought, but half of them talking behind your back, then once it's all over, you back at square one. So don't that make you lazy? Because you put your eggs in one basket, you only got one income, you get fired, now you gotta rely on something else, now you mad, now you in your feelings because you was too lazy to do something else. So that's all I wanna say. So let's debate that. I want y'all to let me know in the comments. Do I really got a point or am I tripping? Because think about it. You've been living your life just for others. So you may want to do this. You may want to be a movie star. You may want to do this or do that or whatever you want to do in your life. You may want to sell clothes. You may want to be a big-time entrepreneur, but you're scared. Your fears. But the only reason that you're scared and your fears is like that because when you was growing up, you was told that you couldn't do it by your own family. And that's where it hurts because you listen to them, because you really value your family opinion. You got to stop valuing your family opinion. You got to start wanting to just fend for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you will not progress in life if you don't want to do nothing on your own. You look at it like it's a comfort zone. Your job is making you lazy. So let's flip that script. That's your comfort zone. You don't want to do nothing else because you got this job to fall back on. That's your comfort zone. I would say that's making you lazy. And people will say, well, that don't make no sense because you don't get it. You're not an entrepreneur. To me, it makes perfect sense. Tell me if I don't have a point. That's all I'm saying. Because think about it. You may work overtime countless hours. Everything going good. You might get that new car. Then you got to take out a loan to get a mortgage. Now you got to work overtime. Now it's taking your life. Now it's going to take you 15, 30 years to pay it off. Think about it. Now I'm not saying ain't nothing wrong with having a job. But I just want y'all to wake up. And they say I'm teaching people to be bums. I'm teaching these bums to be entrepreneurs. That's how I'm going to look at it then, since they so-called bums. Who cares? You might think I'm a bum. Who cares? So at the end of the day, when I'm a bum out here trying to make something happen, what you out here doing? Just talking. So that makes you insecure and lazy. Because you ain't doing nothing but one thing. Hating and talking. And still punching the clock. And want to say you want to get out, but your actions are showing you ain't about nothing. Because you still at the same thing, still putting up for that, still trying to only make one income. So this message only applies to you if you wanted to. If it don't apply to you, let it fly to you. That's all I'm saying. But I just had to express that because a lot of us, we get words misconstrued and they just words. Because everything is just going wrong in your life and you just seem like you just can't get it right. And your life seems like it just sucks. It sucks because you don't got nothing going on. That's why. Because I was always at points in my life where I felt like I didn't have nothing going on. And I used to get comfortable. When people used to ask me like, why you ain't out here doing this? I used to always be like, I'll do it tomorrow or next week. And then as time goes on, then the years went on. Next week turned into the years went on. So all I'm telling y'all, but my life was just set up. I wonder if y'all life was just set up like that, because my life was set up just by working a job. So if a job doesn't regulate my life, I feel like I'm doing nothing. But don't you start to feel like you're doing nothing when you working a job? Just think about it. I don't know if it's me or not, or I don't know if it's y'all. But do y'all get that same feeling that when you working a job, you still feel like you just going backwards? You feel like nothing has changed? You feel like you ain't nothing in life? And I ain't talking about just because you see people on social media balling. I'm just talking about the way you live in your life, real life. That's all I'm saying. And we keep being worried about the wrong things because we keep chasing clout and we keep chasing fame. But all the people that you know that's successful, they not chasing fame. So you just need to just show up and just not be lazy for the people who love you, the people who respect what you do. You don't cater to them. You take them for granted. You always worry about the negativity. Stop being worried about the negativity. I want y'all to just work hard because you're not lazy, you're just not confident. But you was used to people telling you that you couldn't do it when you was younger. So that's what childhood trauma comes from. People telling you can't do it, so now it leads to your adult life. And people don't even know that they messing up their own children by saying this, because they feel like they worried about them, they don't want to steer them wrong. But Maybe we was the fools and the lazy ones because we obeyed the system. Now, I'm not saying that the system is just totally crooked, because you need a couple dollars in your pocket, but at the end of the day, in the long run, what is a couple dollars gonna do for you? Because you wasting your time, putting in all your time because you don't want to be called lazy. So just because you do overtime, that means that you're not lazy. This dude said, he said, forget overtime. I'm about to go do what I want to do. And came up off $10 million because he wasn't thinking how everybody else think. You got to stop thinking how everybody else think. So if you want to do something other than life, just use his life as an example. Now, he worked, but he never gave up on what he wanted to do. No matter what you want to do in life, you can't give up. You got to put the time in. And I know they're going to call you lazy, but it doesn't make sense to an entrepreneur. Let them hate. If they don't understand you, they ain't got to. So that's what I be wanting to tell y'all, because it was a lot of things that I passed up in life because I was always worried about me failing. I was always worried about me not succeeding. And then as I look up, I started seeing stuff paying off for me when I put the time in. And that's what we go wrong at. We lazy because of our circumstances, not because you're not working on a traditional job. Y'all gotta stop that. Because let me explain. We keep relying on the job. We keep being in our comfort zone. We keep having a job to fall back on, so we don't want to do nothing we want to do in life. And America is just going into shambles as we speak. So much crazy things going on in this world. Bills are being passed as we speak, and people are not prepared for what's happening because we're lazy to the system. That's what makes us lazy to the system. Not having no job doesn't make you lazy, because there's a lot of people who don't have a traditional job and making way more than me. And I work at a traditional job. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to do that forever. Sure, there's probably people begging on the street, homeless people. Way more money in our bank accounts than all of us. And we don't even know. We thinking they homeless for real. Some of them may be homeless. But that's really a skill to do that. They got to get out and say they homeless. Then we look at them like, man, you homeless. Go get a job. But in reality, that's their job. I know it's crazy, but it's just not a traditional job. Anything that you do other than a traditional job, you can make it your job. So we gotta stop putting our fears in front of our purposes, because it's bigger than you. But I really can't fault y'all, because y'all was used to y'all parents telling y'all couldn't do it. That's what was making y'all lazy. They told y'all it was a dream. They didn't tell y'all to work hard. But they still provided, so you can appreciate that. You appreciate that. But when you dealing with your kids, mental is more important too. You gotta support them mentally. Now I know they're gonna be adults and go into the real world, but if you telling them they can't do nothing, of course they're gonna rely on you, because you telling them they can't do nothing. When your kids get older and you say they grown, they still be asking for money, yeah, because you told them they couldn't do nothing. You made them not ambitious. You told them they gotta get a traditional job. That's the only way they're gonna not be lazy. You didn't tell them if a job don't work, you can just go generate revenue somewhere else. That don't mean you gotta do nothing illegal, but it's more than one ways to make money. And that's what people go wrong at. So let me say this before I get up out of here. Now I know I've been telling y'all that I do music or whatever. My artist name is Skip. You can look me up on Skip Any Means, or you can type in Skip I'm So Crazy on all platforms or whatever. But the only reason why I never really succeeded with the music at that time was because I didn't apply myself. I was lazy. I didn't do music. I wanted people to accept my music as soon as I drop it, but didn't nobody know me. So I didn't put the work in. So anything you want to do in life, you got to put the work in, and you're going to need some money. Let's keep it real. I'm going to be real with y'all. Because think about it. All the things that I tried to get done, I didn't know what I needed to know to get done. I didn't know how promotion works, and I didn't learn to the last minute, because the people who take off or whatever careers they get, or say if you want to do like real estate, and then you need money, and people always say you want to spend other people's money, right? So you need to go to the bank. You need to get a business plan. But the bank can tell you no. So if you firmly believe in this dream, real estate or whatever businesses that you want, we be sorry in our feelings that we so caught up on this is how you do things. They're telling us how you do it. You got to think outside the box. So at the end of the day, you know you need to generate revenue. And a lot of us, we working just to generate revenue to help our businesses or whatever, but it's not enough money. So that's why the years go by and you still trying to figure it out, because you living from paycheck to paycheck. How you gonna ever make your dream succeed? Then if you want to get a loan from the bank, they might not even approve your loan because they don't even like your business plan. You can't go in there and say, I want to be a nail technician or I want to be this. They got to have something that's already working. So if you believe in something and you want to go generate revenue to believe in something, and that's your art or whatever you want to do in life, do it. Figure out how to generate revenue. And that's the main goal. That's what people always get misunderstood, because we're so lazy. Because a job is making us lazy to figure out some other revenue. So you're going to keep dipping in that same account, only living off one income and being broke. And then you got to do it again and wait 2 weeks. That's lazy. That's lazy to me, because you're not trying to do nothing else. Even if it's going to take you a year or two, you're too lazy to do that. You're too lazy to do your research. All the videos that you think boring, you don't want to watch. So start watching the boring videos. Get out your comfort zone. If it's something that you need to learn, it may get interesting to you. And things don't happen overnight. So whatever you start, learn how to get better at it, because that's what I'm doing now. And believe me, I'm getting better, right? But that's what I'm doing now. I'm getting the confidence that I never thought I have. And I'm feeling happy about myself because I'm not being lazy no more. I've been working a traditional job for so long, I was too scared to do what I want to do because I was lazy. I didn't want to do what I want to do. I didn't want to make music. I didn't want to try to do research to try to generate other revenue, but now I'm doing it because I'm getting out of my comfort zone. So if you ask me, having a traditional job and only want to be comfortable with one income, that's what makes you lazy. Not having no job doesn't mean you lazy. You just got to apply yourself more and do your research more. Dig deeper. If you're doing something, you're doing a good start. Even if you're figuring out how to generate revenue a little bit, you off to a good start. But you got to dig deeper. And that's when you getting out your laziness and your comfort zone. No matter to what you want to do, because you're putting the time in. And that's where people go wrong. You put your time into the wrong areas. So let's go back to the man who won $10 million. He put his time in that right area at the right place at the right time, but his mind told him he didn't want to do overtime. But people would have probably called him lazy and crazy. But he wasn't lazy and crazy when he accomplished his mission, no matter what his mission was. So don't ever get lost in the message and the point. So when you on a mission, so that's my way of telling y'all, if you on a mission, stick to your mission. Because I don't know who made that up. I don't care what nobody say. So if you lose your job and you ain't got no other income, then people say you're going to save your money. You save your money for 4 or 5 years just for you to spend it anyway. What? So you need more than one income, bro. I don't care what nobody say. If you keep living off one income, life is going to keep lifing. And your job situation is what's keeping you lazy. So that's my take on the situation. That's my ways of explaining it. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video.